Hey, I'm Duke on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and greensunzenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it.
Hey team, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Hey iStar, welcome. We're back today with Naya Depths. I wanted to play something a little bit different to Maverick, just to take a bit of a break from the crush. But yeah, I've been seeing a few different builds of Depths running around, some with a black splash for cards like Thoughtseize, some just green-white with Scythecat Cub, which look really interesting as well. But I just wanted to give Naya probably one last shot before I do try out those versions. And probably try out those versions on YouTube because I have started cutting down content to be more YouTube friendly than just streams that are carried over to the platform. So I'm pretty, looking forward to those. For now, in front of us, we have Mav. So a pretty stock list, a few like different things like a main deck Keen-Eyed. I just want to have some main deck Graveyard Hate that wasn't just the one-off effect of Endurance or Crop into Bog. I like the Prismatic Ending as an additional removal spell, especially against blue-red with Cutter. Having answer to that game 1 is pretty essential. And I didn't want to have Outland Liberator in the deck because I felt like that was a little bit narrow and isn't really too relevant in the current metagame, whereas Prismatic is kind of a catch-all, which is pretty nice. A 2 Sylvan Library, 2 Minsk split. I was thinking of cutting down just to 1 Minsk, but I think I want to see it a fair amount and just want to play with it. It's a pretty fun card to play with. So, and then to the board, Disruptor Flute is a card that I haven't had too much time with, but it seems pretty good against the namesake decks like Doomsday or Show and Tell, which we do see online, and then can just be a little bit annoying against some other decks. So yeah, I'm just keen to see where it fits in. The tough part is that Fairy Macabre I don't think is a great answer to Ouphe because of cards like Memory's Journey. But I didn't want to play Leyline because if I don't have it in my opening hand, it's kind of useless. Very tough as well because against something like Blue-Black where they have, say, Reanimate, I really want a card like Ghost Vacuum where I only care about specific cards or just slowly taking cards out of the graveyard. Against Blue-Red as well, I probably wouldn't bring in Fairy, but I would bring in Ghost Vacuum. So I did try to find room for some sort of ongoing Graveyard Hate, but it's just really tough. Torpor Orb was another one, but it of course is just a one-off effect. So yeah, it's tricky in these colors to find relevant Graveyard Hate that you're also going to see. Obviously this version isn't playing Once Upon a Time because I've gone just for more bulk. So we can't find, say, Once or Fairy off once or Endurance off once, but hopefully Fairy is okay. Maze of Ith was another card I was thinking about because of the more aggressive, say, blue-black decks with Barragoyf or these cutter decks, but they go wide so quickly that I kind of wanted the Prismatic in that slot, essentially. So that's about it. And then, yeah, obviously I think that Blast is pretty well positioned and obviously a great reason to run red, probably the best reason right now to run red. Dismember kind of just a catch-all. I don't expect too much, say, Moon Stompy, but it's just a nice way to deal with a card like Barragoyf or an early Stoneforge Mystic or, you know, a Mana Dork if we're going up against a deck we want to be pretty heavy on Mana Denial against. Teague and Ouphe I think are just good catch-alls. If I went with one, I would probably go with Teague because the deck that comes to mind the most is Carnforge, where they're turboing out a lot of 4-drops. And also have Kozilek's Command as removal. And obviously Teague stops that, which is nice. So we'll see that. Hey, Geodude Jared, very cool to see you. I saw your 5-0 list. Congratulations. I believe it was a green-white list, which I'd definitely love to play. I think Cub fits so nicely into Depths when you have crop rotation and all these ways to obviously get extra lands. And just is another really good removal magnet that you don't really care about. Like, it's obviously a great threat, but it's not your way to find Depths. It's not your Marit Lage. So yeah, I think that the next step for this deck, at least on the stream, is going to be a Cub version that is just green, white. Because red's nice, but I feel like maybe it's just not needed right now. All right. But yeah, it's been brutal. 3 1/4s in a row with Mav, which is character building. It's definitely tough to have a really big passion for a deck and do poorly with it. So I think it's always nice just to change things up. Yeah, I was trying to find a good removal spell other than swords. Prismatic is nice because it's flexible. Dismember's nice because it's pretty flexible. Hey Joe, welcome. Hope you're doing well. All right, on the play, which is always nice, we can move this in. Pretty lackluster in terms of the mana here. No green source is pretty huge. So I'm pretty happy just to mulligan this. Especially if we're not up against the deck where the Prismatic or Swords is relevant. Typically, if they are, they're also a Wasteland deck, which obviously here is pretty brutal. So we will mulligan this. And this is pretty nice. The nice thing about Depths is that as you mulligan, you kind of want to close out the game quickly so that so that you can just try to win with your 2020 before the mulligan kind of takes place. Interesting hand. I was thinking of keeping the Mox and dropping the Bog for crop rotation, but then the mana is quite awkward that I nearly feel like I have to bottom the Mox Diamond because of the card disadvantage and then just have Bog, unfortunately, in the deck. But if we go turn 1 Savannah, hold up Swords or Crop, turn 2 play Bog, then turn 3 a land off the top, we can play the Knight. And if we play the Bog and they're a graveyard deck and see the Bog and go, okay, we can go off, and go off, we then have crop rotation into Echoing Deeps, getting rid of the Bojuka Bog, which could get them. So I think I'd rather keep the Depths and the Bog and just have 3 lands and no Mox, which is tough because of how good Mox can be for the mana, but Flooded Strand. Okay. Pretty happy not to keep the Mox against a Flooded Strand deck because they do go pretty aggressively after Mox Diamonds with Prismatic Ending. If it is a blue-white shell. I don't think there's a world here where we want to crop into Wasteland. Potentially if they shuffled the Ponder, but at the same time, we're pretty keen to just get towards 3 mana, so I think here it's just going to be a classic Bog pass. They declined to shuffle. Talon Gates is a little bit awkward because it obviously is a great card in the deck, but it could potentially turn on the Echoing Deeps when our opponents might not see it coming. Hey, Saito saying, very cool to see you. Hope you're doing well. A lot of cantrips early on, which doesn't give too much away. I'm going to assume it's a more control list than, say, like a Stoneforge, like a Stoneblade build. I think Reclaimer or Green Suns is what I want to draw here. And we're also kind of in a position where I wouldn't mind Green Sunning for Sylvan Safekeeper and then trying to get the 2020 down. I guess we can see if it resolves first. Playing the Knight doesn't feel great. because of things like Teferi Bounce, obviously Swords or Prismatic. But there is a world where we... what I could also do is... I think what I will do here is Green Suns for Safekeeper, but then Talon gates it out. Because I can Talon gates it out until my upkeep. Which means I could also get Reclaimer. Tough one. I kind of think that we're on the... We led with Savannah Bog, and they led with Ponder Ponder, which makes me think they have a hand of removal, and they've moved towards... Okay, Savannah is a creature deck. They obviously have a lot of removal in hand. I think it might just be Reclaimer because it's so hard to deal with if we... I believe this works. If we Talon it out now, it comes back in our upkeep, but then it also doesn't have Summoning Sickness. I guess we'll find out. Probably the best way to find out is to just do it and see. I kind of hope they're not just like Cephalid and just go like land nomads. My only issue with going for Safekeeper there is just how much mana or how many lands we would use towards it. Like if we use one for crop and then obviously one for Safekeeper itself, then like I would assume they have a force and I assume they have a piece of interaction, which is 2 lands already we're losing to the crop and the Safekeeper, that I think I'd rather get more mana on board before we start really being aggressive towards that. Voice of Victory, interesting. That kind of makes me feel like they're on something like Cephalid. Because they obviously care about like going off on their turn. I don't think this is a card you just play in a random sort of blue white deck. But I think here I'm happy to play the depths out. Maybe Swords the Voice first. Play the depths out. Pass with Reclaimer open. I could also try to like crop for Yavimaya. But that wouldn't work the way I wanted to. Because I'm thinking of if I tap the Reclaimer and then have a way to keep the crop rotation open if they try to respond. But I don't think I do, because if I activate the Reclaimer, I assume they just... Maybe I shouldn't assume. My thinking is end step, tap the Reclaimer for 2 mana. We have no mana left over. And then if I get Yavimaya, then I have crop rotation open through the bog, which means if they wait to see what I get and then try to Swords the Reclaimer, we could then crop for, say, Sejiri Steppe. Nadu's pretty good. Nomads. Tricky. So I think here we just want to Talon Gates out the Nadu. Trying to have a quick think here. We could crop into Karakas, but obviously if they have like a force effect, which I assume at this stage of the game they do, it's tough because we don't have a great answer to the nomads through crop. So we have Echoing Deeps open. I think that's the line. which will trigger the Nadu. But maybe here they don't actually have a removal spell. That's very interesting. Sadly, it's tough now because the chances of us being able to crop for stage, make the Dark Depths naked, and then not have some sort of removal effect after a lot of triggers would be pretty tough. But I would say this game is over, so we might as well just try to crop. And we might as well see if they tap out on their turn. But sadly, just, yeah, not enough interaction. We get to see a little bit of their deck as well, so. The blasts in the board are a great way to fight against Nadu. Very similar to fighting as Icefang Cradle when that card was around, in that it was just one of the best ways to be able to go after it. There's the Force. Okay. Flute's interesting, but I'm not too sure if it does enough. I'd love to know what you guys think. I do like the Pyroblasts and the Dismember. So we saw the Narcomoebas, so I assume they are on the Cephalid version. Could see a Minsk coming out. Ramunap seemed pretty good against their mana. Crop Rotation I could see coming out just one, because they are a blue deck. Name Nomad with Flute. That's a pretty good one. I kind of like the libraries because I feel like we can be quite aggressive with them. Knight I could see being trimmed. Wasteland strong. Bojuka Bog is still relevant. Keen-Eyed I like. Endurance is kind of a pseudo just in case. The Moxen are pretty important when it comes to the red mana. There's definitely a world where I just want to be faster than them, which is tough. So you want to keep in all your ways to get to a 2020. I could even we could take out the endurances and then just be like, we have the flutes to turn off the nomads. But then I assume they also have Sing Saga, that they have Shuko. But maybe it is a case of just trimming some of the... I really like going after their mana. Endurance doesn't actually do a whole lot because they can just mill themselves again. And it's probably just a land. Like, I could see a depths. I think one is more than enough. And 27 lands with 3 Moxen is still fine. Like, it's really tough because, like, Force of Vigor, great card as well against the Saga builds. pretty happy to keep this and just go for turn on Green Suns to Dryad Arbor, and then we can get a Plateau, which turns on both Night and also Blast. And then we have stage turn 4 with Night open for Dark Depths. The Flute having Flash as well is really nice in this hand, because if turn 2 Night survives and we untap turn 3, then we have instant speed Night, Blast, and Flute. That's quite nice, just in case we get like a Lush or another color. This doesn't always mean they have removal. It could just be a Surveil land, which it is, which is nice. Reclaimer. Pretty interesting. I probably don't mind just naming Flute, naming Saga. Just to stop them from getting pressure on the board. We can play Windswept here to get Lush. Unless we need all 4 mana. So I might actually keep the Windswept and play the stage. And that way we can play Reclaimer. Well, they might even fight over this. Which thankfully we have the Blast for, and then Flute for Saga. There is like a little bit of bait as well. If that you play the stage first and then play Reclaimer, they then think that, okay, Reclaimer is their way to Depths, which they're only, one piece off, so maybe it becomes more of a forcible threat than if you didn't play the stage first. Which if they're mulligan to 5, then them forcing is quite good for us. They might be thinking like they don't want to force it, but if they don't find, say, a removal spell with the Brainstorm, then they kind of have to. Do I really care? That's the thing. Maybe not. Maybe this is just a bit of a throwaway, but I think keeping them off 4/4s is pretty good, because they'll get 1 token, 2 token, and then a Shuko, so they're both 3/3s, and they have a 3/4/3. It's a pretty great draw. Here, we just want to hold up 2 mana for Reclaimer, 2 mana for Depths. No saga in this version. Voice of Victory with 1 card left. They didn't Swords the Reclaimer last turn. I feel like this is fine. I do want to fetch in response. Get the Savannah. Just so that if they do have like a Swords, they can't Swords in response to us activating the Reclaimer. Which wouldn't matter anyway, so I take that back. Get Dark Depths. Wow, they had it. Okay, they didn't. Classic. The tap for white. Okay, let me know how, if you would change anything. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom currently. But here is the list. We'll bring this up here. Be back. Yeah, Teak's pretty interesting because it could turn off Dread. It does turn off their Green Suns. It does turn off their Force of Wills. It does turn off our Green Suns. Force of Vigor is another card as well, like knowing they have the Saga package. Like maybe we can go down on 1 Mox post-board and then bring in Force. Sadly, green mana. We don't have access to, so pretty happy to mulligan this. There's been too many times that we've kept a hand with no green mana, thinking that there's enough sources in the deck, we'll draw into it, and the game's just over. If you don't draw it next turn, then the game is most likely just over. We will also mulligan. Again, no green, but we do have like a little bit more disruption. They have mulligan to 5 cards. Which, what do we have? We have interaction in swords. We have potentially interaction in force. It's quite a reactive hand. I feel like on a mulligan, I want to be pretty proactive towards just getting the combo, so... And this is much better. This is actually a great hand. Like, we bottom the Mox, and we bottom probably the Taiga, and we keep Green Source Reclaimer, Flagstones to kind of get ahead on mana. 2 removal spells is great. So pretty happy to keep this. Surveil getting rid of an illusionist. Interesting. Okay, this is pretty interesting. We have some options here in that we could Green Suns for Dryad Arbor, which then opens up next turn the ability to play Reclaimer, hold up swords, and dismember. The big question is, are we using removal next turn? And the question, I think the answer is most likely, especially if they play a voice. So in that case, next turn, I wouldn't mind just deploying Reclaimer and then having swords or dismember open. So I think if we get a Taiga and then Green Suns for Arbor, and if the Dryad Arbor eats a removal spell, that's even better. It's one less for the Reclaimer. I think next turn as well, I like tapping the Dryad Arbor for the Reclaimer and holding up the Taiga, because holding up red might make them think of something just a little bit more. Yeah. This is tough as well, because if they force this and then have a land for the Saga, then the Saga could potentially just get there. We get to copy it with the stage, which is nice, to start our own Saga build. Crop rotation's pretty nice as well next turn. Play the stage, hold up the combo. Oh, they miss on the land. Well, they don't miss on the land, but they miss on the mana, which is pretty huge. Prismatic. Okay. Interesting that they used both mana for that. Blast is pretty strong. I think because of that, actually, we probably still just want to hold up stage here. And it's a little bit unfortunate because I don't think we have the luxury of using this mana to copy Saga and get our own Saga going. I think we have to hold up Pyroblast and... Unless if they create a... Yeah, if they create a construct, then we copy it. But if not, I think we hold up two pieces of interaction. Yeah, there's tap for a mana. Interesting. This is fine. I believe that's worth going after. Could have done it in response, of course, to save a little bit of mana, but here we are. That's pretty good just to get those off the board. That means that a Nadu isn't going to get anything right away. There's a world where I start copying my Dryad Arbors as well. Oh, actually, no, I have a cooler line. We're going to copy the Flagstones, and then we're going to get rid of the Flagstones and go and get a Lush Portico just to make sure we're drawing live. So copy Flagstones. Trigger, we want to keep this one, and then we'll turn this Flagstones into a Lush. And then trigger. Minsk is pretty good. They have 2 cards. I'm going to tap like this, just so that we can hold up the Dismember. See if we can get rid of it. They can remove the hamster in response. Okay. Still pretty happy to get rid of the Dryad Arbor here. Trigger. It's a Memories Journey, interesting. Memories Journey is kind of good because I have the Cephalid. Interesting, they don't... it doesn't put them on top, it just shuffles them back. I'm just so used to Memories Journey putting them on top because of Ouphe. Green Suns is pretty sweet. I'm definitely not getting rid of the, that was a misplay. Yeah. I'm not getting rid of the Minsk, so that was pretty bad. Yeah, that was terrible. We get to throw it next turn potentially, so question is, what do we really care about? I could go for Keen-Eyed, which I believe is still in the deck. Then hold up Dismember. Or hold up Dismember around. Days. Yeah, I should have definitely looked at Minsk there first. And knew that I wasn't going to just trade it with the Nomads. Because that is an extra 3 damage, puts them to 10. But thankfully next turn, like, attack with Boo, throw the Boo. It shouldn't matter too much. I think here I should Dismember, just to keep them off the ability to draw. So they have 2 cards in hand. If one's Nadu and one's land, then they can't have Force as well. Okay. It can't be Force, blue card, Nomad, and land. I guess for the like, it could be Cephalid, blue card, Force. So I should have. Interesting. I don't target the Boo with Minsk, which is nice, so I can save it here with Safekeeper. Nice. Tricky, but always cool to see Minsk do the job. We have a win. We have a win. Yeah, I think there they would need, if we get rid of the Nomads in upkeep, then they have 3 cards. It would have to be Land, Cephalid, Nomad, which is still, you know, there is a chance. But that's tough because then I don't think Dismember does anything there, unfortunately. Because they can just respond at instant speed. So yeah, actually maybe then Keen-Eyed is just the best threat because it does turn off the ability for them to win through that line. Whereas getting Elvish Reclaimer doesn't. So yeah, I think the correct line is go for Keen-Eyed, and then you don't really care if the Dismember doesn't play around days. Unless they play Nadu, yeah, it's tricky. All right. On the play, which is nice. And then a decent hand, which we'll be pretty happy to keep. I think because Minsk is a pretty late game effect, I'm pretty happy here to go for It's pretty interesting. Like getting Lush into play now, we don't really know what to do with it because we don't know what we're up against. That I like the Windswept. I'm not too sure if we need to hold up Crop. Or we could Green Suns. I do like that by green sunning for Dryad Arbor, it turns on a lot more lines next turn. Which, if they have a turn 1 kill, they have a turn 1 kill. I think just holding up Crop and doing nothing holds us back just a little bit too much. Okay. I mean, pretty happy to see this. We get to Wasteland the Volcanic Island, hold up Crop for the Dryad Arbor. If we really need to. Get in for 1, because if they want to remove the Dryad Arbor, then holding up Crop Rotation not around days doesn't really matter because we're going to lose it anyway. Well, that's pretty interesting because that does turn on the combo. Because now we have Crop for Dark Depths, Crop for Stage, and then we have Yav to give Dark Depths mana. Interesting. So now we do have the option for playing out Knight as a 4/4. But I kind of like just passing here. All right, I'm just going to crop in response. And then I'm going to crop again before they can get the cutter into play. Wow, another force. Yikes. I'll play the Lush this turn. Keep the crop on top. So they got rid of a Ponder and a Brainstorm. I also shouldn't 5 here because I am representing crop rotation. Now they know about crop. Oh, wow. I'm happy to play the stage, but I'm not too sure if I'm happy to go for Dark Depths again. Just because then, like, obviously Brazen Borrower is probably just a one-of, but we also have next turn play Night around Days. And they also have no pressure on, which is nice. So I'm happy not to do anything. Did they just have double days? Okay. I would assume then last time if we go for crop, then they daze it just to keep us off being able to make the 2020. I wouldn't mind a land here. That allows us to green suns for Safekeeper and also crop for Dark Depths and go off. Not the land I want though. I think in that case we're happy just to I think we're just green sunning for Reclaimer here. Actually no, I think over 2 turns I'm happy to go for Safekeeper. See if they want to respond. Or red. The issue now is exactly Wasteland. There's Wasteland. Hmm. Now, I could wait to draw into either Dark Depths or Wasteland and then be able to crop for the other one. Wow. Very aggressive. Just trying to get this monk going. Happy just to get rid of the Windswept. They're down to one card as well. So I could like copy the Wasteland, but then I kind of have to crop in response, but I'm not too sure what I'm cropping for, so I'd rather just wait to see if we can draw one half of the deck. I want to see what I draw first. Get an 8. Hmm. They have trample as well, so I think I should have probably just got in. Bauble pretty good. I think we just have to go to 3. Maybe not. Maybe the out is that we... Like we're... Yeah. Maybe the play here is to get rid of a monk for the turn with crop. And maybe we do that with stage. Like maybe we copy and then crop it away for Talon gates. They should just let this slide. There's no reason to Wasteland a response, I don't think. Yeah. The issue is if we take this and go to 3, then next turn most likely either one of these are dead. So even if we get a 20/20 in play, quick think, yeah. all themselves to see if they want to fetch. That would be cool if it did. Tough. Like the blasts, we like the dismember. That's probably it. Minsks are a little bit too slow. The libraries are probably also just a little bit too slow. I mean, I don't mind one Minsk on the play. It's kind of fun, and I do want to be playing for fun. Let's be honest. Like, I think Force of Vigor is too narrow. I do like having the Prismatic Ending. I think it's just going to be this. Just trying to think of the extra card. Keen-Eyed is good. It might just be one crop. Just because they have so many answers to it. The play, which is nice. And a one lander is not great. Okay, pretty happy to keep this. Bottom the Minsk. A little bit reactive, but we get to hopefully Swords their first threat. Have a Bog down the line. Sadly, like, Cutter just makes this this hand really, really bad. Like, I'm not really in the business of swordsing tokens, that I kind of hope they like go DRC next turn, or just something that isn't the Cutter. I think the Cutter starts are really hard for this deck. Really need like 4 Prismatic Endings or something ridiculous like that. Mox is interesting, but doesn't do enough just yet. I could see like a Reclaimer start being a bit better. Oh, nothing. I wonder if they're on the Questing Druid build. Interesting. I think here I'm just going to play the Bog this turn and then play the Depths next turn and just forget about the Moxen for now. Maybe steal a win. They have 7 cards and they weren't able to, or 6 cards and they weren't able to double spell last turn. Wow, bolt me. They're down to 5 cards. I think then end step here, I just want to crop away the Bog and see what they do. Bant Depths is an interesting one. It's cool to see people having some pretty good time with Lavinia. Like, Consigned Memory isn't that great in terms of positioning, but obviously a powerful card. I actually think like Blue Elemental Blast against the Cutters is pretty strong. You get Uro, which seems okay. I think we just make it, and then if they have it, then we probably just lose. But I think just playing around Wasteland is fine. But yeah, I think like if I do want to have like a reasonable answer for Corey Steelcutter, instead of actually answering it with removal, you could answer it with bigger threats. And that's where I actually like the Scythe Cub Cat builds. Interesting. Swords there, but yeah, I think it's just a little bit tough. Really need an answer more than ever against blue-red in your opening. Right. Another one-lander is pretty tough. Better than nothing. I think we'll just bottom the Minsk here. Just potentially have either a win through Endurance or a nice start through Reclaimer. Wonder. I'm not going to play the Mox just yet. I really want to get value off it. I guess like days is a bit of an issue, but that's on me. Bloodstain Maya. Huh. Badlands. Like Grixis? Well, they take the Mox. Yes, we bog them. Wasteland's fine. This looks like Grixis. When this creature ETBs, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them. Put that into your hand. Interesting. Like a Orgropolis. At least I don't have pressure. Wrath of the Skies is pretty interesting. But at least we can figure out a little bit more about their deck. I mean, Yav off the top starts something. Crop. I wonder if they play the ninjutsu planeswalker. Sometimes the deck just doesn't like you. And that is fine. There's the Yav. Don't think it really matters, but I don't want to fetch. So we'll go for Savannah. I guess we try to take out the token. Go to 2. Nothing great here, sadly. I could take them off red, but obviously they attack with everything, and we don't have much to say there. So it does look like just like a Grixis deck with some nice. All right, team. Let me know how you would board, and I'll be back in a second. I don't want to change too much. I think that's like the blasts are decent, and the dismember potentially. I could see it just being a bit of a just a few cards here and there coming out. It doesn't change too much. Yeah. Mulligans are pretty unfortunate against a deck like this, where they are going to go after your mana pretty aggressively. I think I'm pretty happy to keep this and bottom the depths. I assume they're going to have some sort of answer to depths post-board. I like getting Reclaimer down. I think that getting Forest there just cuts off your mana a little bit too heavily. That maybe we can get them to play like a dual land. Okay. Well, that's pretty good for us. Next time we get to go Dryad Arbor into Wasteland. Interesting. This is one of those matchups as well where I'd love like a Ghost Vacuum effect. Instead of like having Fairy Macabre as kind of my answer to... I guess Keen-Eyed is similar. Keen-Eyed is kind of our answer to Reanimate. Whereas Fairy Macabre probably just rots in your hand a little bit too much. I actually think Night here is better than Wasteland. Just to get it on the board. It's a 4/4, pretty hard to deal with. Outside of Fatal Push. Interesting. We get to double Wasteland here if we want to. And I think, yeah, they probably just saw that effect. Pretty happy just to run this back, honestly. Wasteland, they're really showing its strength. But a 7 would be nice to keep against a Grixis deck. Okay. Turn 1 Reclaimer, turn 2 Library potentially. Temio annoying, but not the worst, especially in a deck with Pyroblast. I feel a lot more comfortable with her on the field. Okay, so potentially no Brainstorm in their hand, or else they probably would have attacked, Brainstormed, Fatal Pushed to flip the Temio as well. Ooh, so they have basics going. No Force either, it seems. Bowmasters is fine. I wouldn't mind just green sunning for a Reclaimer here. The Bog on top. I will pay for the extra land. And then I am going to play the Wasteland. And go green sunning. It is just a 1/2, but I think that's okay. I could see them attacking with both. They're going to play a Thunder Trap first. They get a Flame of Anor. Well, this means unless they have a land, which they put the Underground Sea into the bin, so I assume they do have another land. But now they can't attack with the Orc. I feel like they could have attacked with open mana with the Orc, and there's no way we're blocking because if they have another Bowmaster, it's brutal. Right, Pyroblasts, come on. Minsk is kind of cool. I think we see if Minsk resolves. Put on top. We do know they have a Flame of Anor. So maybe we actually... Pay 4 to keep. But... And I will play it, I believe. Let me a quick think. I kind of want Endurance next turn. So maybe we just hold up the Endurance. But I do want to take them off some amount of mana. So I think we play the Wooded Foothills to fetch that land away. We can at least draw out the flame here. They could also double draw with the clues to flip the Temio. They might just deal 5, draw 2. Okay. I am going to tug on myself. I kind of want those Reclaimers back. And we do want to fetch here. Go for Plateau. Unfortunately, other than Mox, I don't get to Minsk and also Wasteland the red source. Put on top. put on top. Can we play the Minsk? There's no great attacks. And at 10 life with the library, I'd probably like to just keep the library on the board. Try to take them off red here. At least if they try to flame here, we get to crop. Never force. Tough. A lot of removal. Really tough. Great Stable Stag is definitely a card I've seen a little bit of. But it's just, yeah, tricky to keep up with the value of decks like Grixis. And even Tamiyo, like, finding a blast early on would be nice, but the extra draw from all those clues definitely adds up. All right, hopefully we can bounce back. Yeah, it's feel a little bit underpowered on green white these days, which I could probably say every day over the last 5 years, but yeah, just tough to find those like 2-for-1s, that little bit of value. All right, here we go. On the play, which is nice. Just a little bit of a nothing hand. Like Turn on Swords potentially, but Ramunap without a fetch land. No green mana, but we do have Mox. So keep bottom the... I think it's just the step. Then it went to 5 cards. Stage, Mox, Pitch Stage, Play Reclaimer. Bloodstained into black source is always really scary. Okay, that's not as bad. Still pretty tough. Oof. Okay. Thankfully, I don't care too much about that. They obviously just wanted to use the Dark Ritual and Thoughtseize. Okay. I'm not too sure what we want here. We might even just get rid of the flagstones, go and get... I guess we do have depths. Yeah, what am I saying? We also have swords if they have, like, if they're an opposition agent deck, which is nice. Okay. Interesting. So they... I assume, like, Deafening Silence against, like, Dark Ritual is fine. Fair Macabre, I assume they're a Reanimator style deck. The Ramunap seems pretty awful. Same with the Knights, looking at their mana base. The libraries are probably a little bit too slow. Might only want like 1 Minsk. Maybe just the other library. Interesting. Looks like mono black to start with fetch lands, so potentially a second color. The one thing Deafening Silence doesn't stop is just ritual into creatures. Probably just a little bit slow, like no open green mana either. Has been a pretty big issue this league. So maybe it's something to look into. All right. I guess we keep this, bottom the Karakas, and bottom a crop. Okay. interesting. Hey Mark, welcome, hope you're well. We're going to start in the Flagstones here, just to play around Wasteland, hold up swords. Obviously Fairy gets held up through all. Red. Okay. Chains. Interesting, especially seeing we took out our libraries. I wonder if they're playing some sort of like echo style. Maybe that's too deep. But seeing like echoes and like rituals, bowmasters. We will get rid of this. This is kind of interesting with the chains, I guess. So if a player would draw a card except the first card they draw, draw steps, a player discards a card instead. I'm not sure how this works out. I'm just going to go 7. So we discard Yav. Discard. Discard. I mean, can you imagine if we kept like land, Mox, Minsk, and then drew? We must just draw nothing. No, wait. I don't really understand this, but they must put a lot of creatures into the bin, I assume. That's how they get there. Like they have Croxa, they have Nethergoyf. Pretty interesting. Leyline. So the stage here will allow us to do the Lush trick, which is kind of nice, just to make sure we're drawing a little bit live. So here I assume is Nethergoyf. They have 1 card. So let's copy Flagstones. We want to keep this version. So we sack this version for a Lush trigger. Put that in the graveyard. Don't really care about that. Interesting. We might just want to deal with Croxa now. Like in case they go just like red source, flashback Croxa, or escape. Yeah. And I'll take the Duck Confidant just for reanimate. The chains. I think here I'm happy just to make a swamp. Plays around Wasteland a little bit. We have a few turns here to find something good. That's pretty good. Interesting they brought in Meltdown, seeing the Mox Diamonds. I mean, a land off the top here as well. They have no cards in hand, so a land here just means we get to go for it. Nice. I assume it's safe just to go for it here as well. Like play around Wasteland. Like sure they could have some sack effects, but we can't play around those anyway. Hey Spyman, you as well. Alright. We can finish 3-2, which a positive record hasn't happened in a while. So I'm very happy to be on this path to hopefully getting there. It's been tough. It's been really tough. All right. Yeah, cool deck. Kind of playing some pretty sweet cards. I mean, like, I'm not too sure how to explain Burning Inquiry and Chains of Mephistopheles together, but it looks like it's tough. Just play well. Okay. Happy to keep this. I'm also pretty happy here just to go Mox Diamond, pitch Yav, play Windswept, Green Suns for Dryad Arbor, hold up crop rotation. And then turn 2, we have a 4/4 Knight if we want. So let's go Mox, pitch Yav, play Windswept, get to 3 mana. And then if they don't do anything that we need to use the crop for, then we can go and get Lush. Just make sure that our draws are pretty on point. However, is there a real need to Lush? Like, I wouldn't mind a land, I probably wouldn't mind a spell. I'm not too sure what we want just yet. Yeah, so I'm actually pretty happy just to untap. Ramunap's pretty sweet. Go and get Savannah. Play Ramunap, get back a land. Force pitch Brazen. Okay. Interesting with a Verdant. Maybe they're a bug deck. Hey Darth, welcome. Ah, Tudor's usually on Oops. Interesting. Well, then I'm happy we went our line of holding up the crop rotation. That's pretty good. Tamiyo is definitely annoying. I don't think we care about this because we have the Prismatic to deal with the Tamiyo anyway. Yeah, blue-black is pretty tough. I would say it's probably the best deck in the format right now. It's got to have a good idea of what we want to fight over. Pretty happy just to pass with Crop Open here. And then next turn play Knight, I think. Yeah. Just like obviously tapping out and they have like Entomb, Reanimate or something is pretty dire. And they don't have too much pressure right now. They're going to go after this. So we can crop in response. Go and get a fetch land, and then we have Lush, just to make sure we're drawing pretty live as well. Yeah, Animated on Ramunap's pretty good. Lush can go in the graveyard. I think the 3 mana for me is more important.
I guess if I draw like a stage or a depth, maybe I can just go for it. I think now we just hold back for now. We do have Echoing Deeps. Hey JVG, thank you for the follow. Hope you're well. I don't think I even use a knight here. I think we just hold one up for protection. I mean, that's pretty good. Yavimaya must be in the bin. I think here we just get a fetch. I think now I'm happy to attack just once here. Get rid of the token. And then potentially steps in the bin, which is tricky. I should have also sacked there to give protection, but that's fine. I think here I might... So here I do have the option of Wasteland, and then get rid of the plains to Bojuka Bog them. But I also don't mind just trying to crack in with two 13/13s. That does open us up a little bit to getting the Safekeeper removed because we might have no lands in play. So we Wasteland goes to the bin. We can then get rid of the plains, and then in response, when we have no lands, they could say Bowmaster, Safekeeper, but then we get to bog them. But then I'm still a little bit scared of like Entomb Archon, so Yeah. I think just playing Abyss with one knight is good enough. They shuffled as well. Like maybe there it changes things because they only have one mana open. But then like Fatal Push is still pretty relevant. Yeah. It's Fatal Push now that I'm a little bit weary of. Hmm. Again, want to hold up Bojuka Bog. Interesting. Now, because I've been trying to play around Echoing Deeps for protection, but they have two colors. So now we might have the option to win next turn through Echoing Deeps. Play Reclaimer. Yeah, interesting not to block with the Bowmasters. Maybe they saw the step in the bin and didn't think it's online anymore. Well, there goes a Brazen Borrower. That's pretty huge. What's it going to be? Because we have sack for Echoing Deeps. So now they're going to go for it. Interesting they didn't like try to remove anything. I guess now the knights are turned off. Don't have the mana for endurance. So now we might as well attack with both. Interesting. Oh, no, I thought I could do something before damage. Oh, I was going to sack a land. Wow, hopefully it doesn't come back. But obviously there, they block one, we sack a land, we get there because the creature has Shroud. Very tough. Oh my gosh, still not good. Apologies, I should have, yeah, I should have definitely gone for it there. I thought I had another little step. Okay. Pretty tricky matchup. Like, I'm not too sure how many fairies I want because they're obviously a little bit dead in hand. I think the libraries are a little bit too cute. I think like one Minsk in the deck would be nice to have. The Ramunap I could see coming out. I think it just hits us a little bit too tough, but maybe that we have the fairies, it's not as needed. Maybe like 2 fairies is all I really want. Like we do have the Endurances, we do have the Keen-Eyeds, we do have Crop for Bojuka Bog. It's tough with Safekeeper there as well, because if they have removal, they can Wasteland us, we then sack and response, they then Wasteland again, we then sack and response, and then they cast, like say Fatal Push with both Safekeeper triggers on the stack. I think Dismember is just another answer to Tamiyo is also quite nice. It might just be some little things. Like 3 lands, 4 spells is probably where I want to be. Three lands, 4 spells. No real interaction to like Entomb, which this hand is going to have a little bit of a tough time against. Like I'm probably not playing Keen-Eyed out as just a 2-drop. I think I'd rather move towards a hand with like a Reclaimer start or a Green Suns. Maybe not a Green Sun start because of Bowmasters, but I think it's just a little bit too top heavy. Okay. Happy to keep this and probably bottom the Knight. I really want to have reliable mana, and I like having removal and a threat. Hmm. Okay. Interesting. Now we probably just go for Lush. Put that in the graveyard. Crop's pretty good. Voidwalker's fine. We don't really care about that. See if they tap out next turn. That'd be pretty telling. We play Yavimaya this turn, so it means we can turn the Lush into Dark Depths. Is this a you have to? Might as well try. Maybe doing in response to the brainstorm was correct. I was trying to think if they could like not flip the Tamiyo and then just block. Yeah. I think it's just a timing issue. Even small things like if I fetch for planes there. Yeah, I think in response to Brainstorm was correct. Because it also plays around Wasteland. Yeah, especially seeing that already got rid of a Burrow was last game. So pretty much has to be Blast now. Green Suns. Pretty good. Yeah, I think the misplay of not going for Dark Depths in response to Brainstorm is a good learning. Very interesting. I mean, now we get to kill the Tamio, right? Gosh. To be fair, they do have 23 cards in hand, so. I think we just save some time for the next game. I don't mind the extra Minsk, potentially. It's really tough to know where to cut. Could we just be going down to 1 depths? I could see that. Like, yeah, the crop. Maybe Knight's just a little bit too slow. Oh, yikes. Okay. Talon gives us access to red mana. It might just be a Green Suns. It's a world where they want to force and then like Wasteland us. I think we play the Talons. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of the Dryad Arbor. Just so it can't be killed by Bowmaster in their turn. Of course. I feel like Depths has more outs to misplays because you have just the I win button of the 2020. And then you also have things like crop rotation for Bojuka Bog where it's like, yeah, it feels like with Maverick you just have to live with your wrongdoings. Sadly, a mana off. That's tough. I'll put that on top just because of Dryad Arbor getting hit. Would be pretty tough. But yeah, I feel like there's a bit more resilience for Mav. Sorry, for Depths. You have a few more outs to certain things. Okay. I'm not going to attack either as if I have a crop rotation. There's no point bogging just yet. Ah, they know about the cracks from the Thoughtseize? There we go. Very true. So they have 2 cards. Copy the island right now. Just to play around Wasteland. This is probably a matchup where I feel like I would like to have access to Saga. Just have some sort of package through my lands that isn't Dark Depths. I mean, we could just go full beatdown with the Dryad Arbors and copy twice. It is a 3-turn clock. But it's really tough knowing they have like Entomb, a lot of solid cards. All right. I think we shift. Here we go. I wouldn't mind, like, Bowmasters is obviously tough, but it would take them off just hard cast. Force of Will. I don't think I bog just yet. I mean, that's something. And I don't need to crop just yet because I have 2 stages to copy Dark Depths. Three forces. I don't really want to go to 1 either. We don't really have an out to that. Go to 1. Oh, we finished 3-2. Oh my gosh. We are back
in positive record territory. Oh my gosh. But it shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be this hard. Cool. Deck was sweet. I feel like, yeah, the 3-2 dream. Sadly, the 2025 dream of Dukes on Twitch. Yeah, I feel like red's nice, but I feel like the cub versions of green-white look really solid. Which I will quickly bring up. Legacy. That was draining. Yeah. I don't know why this is so slow. Anyway, there's some really cool cub versions, which I think I'll definitely look at. So if you do want to find that content, it'll be revised content, so no big blocks on my YouTube channel. But that's going to be me. I'm going to enjoy my weekend. I have another list as well from That Maverick Joe, where, yeah, I think it's worth looking back at just some of the small tweaks we can make and then going ahead with another league. That'll be cool. And then I'll be back next Thursday on stream. But until then, actually, I won't. MTG Mate is opening a store, which is very cool. And they have a playing space opening up that evening. So I'll be there, but I'll definitely get back to stream at some point next week, probably next Friday night. A little bit about the list, like, what do we find? I kind of feel like I wanted an extra creature or more, or something to my lands. Like, it's really tricky with Saga because then you need to find space for some targets other than just Mox Diamond, because there are obviously great targets like Lava Spare Boots, great target, Needle in the board, like solid target, Shadow Spear could be a great target against blue-red, especially with the cutter versions. But I would say that you would nearly not splash a color, and your Saga would be your color splash. But I kind of feel like the cub versions of green-white might be better than the green-white Saga versions, so there's definitely that. More Prismatics, honestly. Like, I think Prismatics is actually quite well positioned. And then, yeah, I think that's kind of it. I kind of feel like Dryad Militant is in a good spot. I know it's a 1/2 that doesn't do too much, but I feel like Dryad Militant is just like where potentially like an aggressive green-white version of Maverick could come into play. Because obviously it turns off Ouphe, which is great. It turns off Cephalid to some extent, turns off like DRC and Murktide to some extent. But maybe it's just not as good as it is. Thoughts on the Chains Inquiry list? I have no thoughts because I have no idea of what the game plan is. Very cool. Like, it looks like they're trying to make both players discard and then make use of cards in your graveyard. Like, I would assume like Bloodghast would be kind of cool in that list because it's just another card that you're happy to get rid of and put in the graveyard. Nethergoyf and Croxa makes a lot of sense because you can escape them from the graveyard. I think like Cling to Dust would be kind of a cool card because it is pretty relevant these days, and it's also something you can do from the graveyard. But yeah, it's a little bit tough because it looks like a deck that's black-red, so you don't have too many tutors to be able to go and find stuff. Yeah, it looks cool. Good luck to that pilot. Hopefully they get some wins. And yeah. Graveyard Hate, still not too sure. Like, Fairy Macabre against the decks that aren't just all in graveyard decks feels pretty bad. Like, against blue-black and blue-red, I think Ghost Vacuum seems pretty good at just being able to keep them off their creatures. Saves you from Reanimate as well. Yeah, a few little things. Flute didn't come up, but I can see where it's relevant against like Show and Tell, Doomsday, those sort of decks. So that's about it. All right, I'm going to see who else is streaming and send you all over there. Caleb's playing some Cube, which is cool. Hope you all have a great weekend. Ramar, you're going? I will cancel that. I'll wait for you, Ramar. The 3-2 Dream. Yeah, it would be really interesting to see where green-white with Cub goes. And I think that's what I'll probably target next week for the stream. That'll be pretty cool. Our matchups tonight were blue-red, Huda, U-black, Tempo. There was a Nadu in there. What else did we play against? The like Burning Inquiry, Burning Chains, I'm gonna call it, and one more. I'll have to look back and watch. Right, Ramar, there we are. Nice. Thanks all. Have a great weekend, and we will catch you soon. This league will go up on YouTube pretty quickly, but until then, see you next time.